What's going on, fellas? Good to be with you. Can you hear me all right at the refurbished home studio here? I actually just moved, so forgive the Peloton bike and the random 24-inch screen and boxes in the background here. It looked better to do that than to blur it all out where my face is kind of moving around choppy in the screen. So thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. And Alan, hey, Watkins can claim me too, man. We go back.
We do.
Go back.
Okay.
I don't think we go back not as far back. No. I do with you, but we go way back.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that just means you're a friend of the show already.
Yep.
So good to have you on, JD. And let's just start here. Did you see the report? Actually, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Did you see the report? We were trying to confirm it from, I guess it was Kendra Andrews saying that there was some talk about Andrew Wiggins maybe not coming into camp in the best shape. Did you see that? Did that get confirmed?
I did see the report and I believe it. I mean, I trust Kendra's reporting on that 100%. And if you've watched the Warriors play here through this early part of the season, you can tell that Andrew Wiggins just hasn't been right. And anytime a player really in their prime, and Wiggins is still a player that's not even 29 years old. It'll be 29 in February, I believe. It comes in and just looks off defensively and looks like the athleticism maybe isn't where it's used to being. You wonder why. And so it's not surprising at all to see that some within the organization would believe that maybe he didn't have the best offseason. And this was something that leaked out last year about Klay Thompson a little bit. Now, look, Klay had all the reasons in the world coming off of the two injuries and a long run toward the NBA championship in 2022 that the Warriors won. So different circumstances, with Klay a little bit older and coming off of the two injuries. And we all know Wiggins had the personal matter that he dealt with that kept him out until the Warriors-Kings playoff series back in April. So he was trying to find himself then. But the question was, and so much of what the Warriors were hoping their season could be this year was everybody from Steph, who's done it, to Klay and Draymond, who really haven't to this point, and Wiggins, can they get back to that level where they were 2 years ago? So as far as Wiggins goes, you start to search for reasons why. And, motivation comes into it. Is he just a little too laid back? But I do think this personal issue, if he was dealing with something so heavy to where he had to step away for as long as he did and was encouraged by his teammates to come back so they could have a shot to beat the Kings. And I don't think they beat the Kings without him, even though he wasn't great in that series. Just his presence, right. They needed him. But then the season ends when they get beat by the Lakers, and it's all right, well, are you now back full time, or are you going back to deal with personal issues that are weighing you down? And I think, the early returns are maybe he went back to those personal issues that were weighing him down until training camp. And now he's of the player that's trying to work his way into shape through the first 20 games of an NBA season. And the Warriors have not benefited from that.
JD, just in general, a lot of talk anytime these two teams meet up. Steph's been asked, De'Aaron was asked the other day. What are your thoughts on if this thing is truly a rivalry or not? And what do you think is kind of the thing that makes it or doesn't make it that?
I always tend to go to what Steve Kerr says. Steve Kerr says you need multiple playoffs to make it a rivalry. So the Warriors kind of had that, I guess, with the Rockets back in the day with Chris Paul and Harden. They had it obviously with LeBron and the Cavs playing in the 4 straight finals. They played Portland a few times in the playoffs, although the Warriors pretty much dominated those series with Dame Lillard. But I think it's as close as it could be without the multiple playoff series. I mean, I was just talking to somebody before I hopped on with you guys about they sent me the Draymond pick from game 2, where you've got all the Kings fans at Golden One are just giving him the bird, and Draymond's up on the screen as they're waiting. He's waiting in purgatory to be ejected for the incident with Sabonis. And, he's basically like, hey, peace, y'all. Love y'all. Big old smile on his face. And, to me, that was the image of a playoff series that was full of so many. I mean, it was just an epic. It was the best playoff series of the entire playoffs. it was maybe the best playoff series that the Warriors had played in their run going back to 2014. Now they've got a few. I mean, Oklahoma City in 16, the Cavs series that they lost in 16, I think was an epic series. At least it turned out to be. The Rockets series that they won in the 18 conference finals. And I think even the Boston series a couple of years ago was right up there, Memphis and some others. But I think it definitely is in the top 5 as far as play. They've played so many that it might be hard to make it number 1 for being a first round series, but it really was, the young cats, trying to stake their claim, and the OGs just barely having enough to hold them off. But I was talking to somebody about, it was 3 weeks. It was from the moment on that Easter Sunday where everything went down and everybody clinched and you knew, all right, who was it going to be? And it was about 3:00 on that Sunday afternoon on Easter Sunday. And I was like, wow, it's going to be Warriors Kings. It was 3 full weeks until basically 3:00 on that Sunday afternoon when Steph went for 50 and eliminated the Kings, of just nonstop chaos. Yep. The lead up was chaos for 5 days. I mean, the post game after every game was chaos. I mean, it was like it was meant to be for those two franchises to be so close, but to never be good at the same time, and just to kind of empty it all out and lay it all out. I mean, it was truly phenomenal. Maybe I'm a little biased because of my ties to both markets and growing up in Sacramento and spending the last 12 years in the Bay predominantly covering the Warriors. But for me, I mean, it went from maybe no rivalry to hell yeah, it's a rivalry pretty fast. And now they play each other basically every other game. So, I mean, how could it not be?
Talking to JD, John Dickinson, who covers the Warriors. And JD, real quick on the Kendra Andrews, I wasn't questioning Kendra's report. We were trying to confirm that she said it because all these different accounts had said Kendra. Then we went to her account and we didn't see it yet. So we didn't know if it was said on TV or anything like that. So we know Kendra does great work, but we were trying to confirm that she said it, not that what she said was true or not.
Yeah, no. And my inclinations, and I'm just bringing it up as I'm talking to you guys right now. I mean, I had seen some of not an aggregation, but I had seen some. I guess it was kind of a low budget aggregation of some people who'd screenshotted portions of her article, basically the old bootleg version of the aggregation. I'm just going to screenshot it and throw it on Twitter. But no, so yeah, I'm looking through it right now, and yeah, she does kind of break down every little piece of what was going on with the Warriors and why they haven't been, off to the start. And so, yeah, no, it absolutely, I'm looking at it right now. It absolutely is true. I'm reading the report just as we're talking here. So no, she did write it, and So I trust her reporting on 100%.
Yeah, definitely. Talking to JD, John Dickinson, who covers the Warriors. JD, with all that being said, you have this coming out now from Kendra Andrews. You have yesterday with Klay Thompson. We're calling it a Tapatio Tuesday with Klay Thompson and Tim Kawakami. The Warriors get a chance to play, and don't hate me, Sacramento Kings fans, little brother. Do you think that the Warriors use games like this, specifically against the Kings, as maybe a reset button or a palate cleanser? If we can just beat the Kings, that's kind of our home, right? We come back home and we beat the Kings, and then we can get rolling again. Do you think there's a lot on the Warriors, or they feel there's a lot on them to win this game and kind of hit that reset? Because, hey, throughout Steph's time, we've handled the Kings. So let's do that and keep going. If you lose to the Kings, with everything going on, you really got some problems.
Yeah, I think they're hoping that. I think they're hoping that the Kings get them right, because for whatever reason, as talented as the Kings are, the Warriors have suddenly had their number a little bit. Right. I mean, even in that weird preseason game where the Kings dominated, and then the Warriors decided that was going to be the night they were going to play their starters down the stretch, the only time they did that. and the Kings did too. And the Warriors had that rally where Curry went off and they stole that game on the Curry three. I mean, never have I ever put any stock in anything that happens in the preseason, but that was the first moment, believe it or not, where I was like, damn, like, is there something going on here where like the Warriors are taking all of these games against the Kings like they're game 7 and extremely personal. And so, that, and then to steal the game at Chase, and when the Kings played there without De'Aaron Fox, the Kings probably should have won that game. So, I mean, I do think the Warriors, and I've seen this, and Alan, I know, like we've seen this through time. The Warriors will play a team that will step to Big Brother, basically, and the Warriors will beat them. And what has happened, and this did happen with Portland, it did happen with the Clippers, it did happen with the Rockets. I do think it even happened with, Oklahoma City completely came apart at the seams because Kevin Durant left. But we've seen that some of the teams that the Warriors in their heyday would play in playoff series, and they would come back, and then all of a sudden they would just never be able to beat the Warriors in any meaningful game. And so I think it's too early to say that's what's going on with the Warriors and the Kings. But if the Warriors don't play well tonight, or if maybe the Kings play a little bit nervous, because that's the thing I would wonder from the Kings side of it is like, look, the Kings were brash and, hey, we're good and we're going to beat these guys. But they were also, I think when they did get beat, they were very much acknowledging of, hey, these guys are champions and it wasn't quite our time yet, but our time's coming and it's coming next year. And so when you feel that way, and then you can't still quite get over the hump, even in some regular season games where some things get a little weird, I wonder if the Kings start to wonder, hey, are these guys in our heads a little bit? And so maybe tonight's a tell on that. But when you separate from all of that, I think, look, these two teams playing each other 3 times in such short order, I would be stunned if either team won all 3. So, last year it was kind of the same thing. Nobody really knew early in the year how good the Kings were, although they were playing pretty good basketball. But the Warriors got the better of them the first 2 times. They played the third time in Sacramento right around this time, a couple weeks earlier, I think. And the Kings beat them in a very similar game to a lot of the games that we've seen played between these teams the last couple of years. So, that being said, the Warriors are healthy. Draymond's back off a suspension. And so I do think, independent of the Kings, I think it's just coincidence that it happens to be Sacramento where, all of a sudden everybody's back and full go and Draymond's back. But I do think they're looking at, all right, disappointing start, after the 6-2, disappointing kind of middle stretch. Now tonight they've had 3 days off like the Kings have. It's kind of go time. I think the Warriors do believe tonight's go time, but if they don't win or they don't play well, then they're going to be looking in the mirror, and they're going to be looking in the mirror from a position of multiple games under 500. And that's where in the Bay, it starts to think, is it going to be like last year where they're basically touting themselves as nobody's going to want to play us and we're going to make our run and everything's going to be fine. And like they swore up and down throughout the offseason and throughout the preseason that this year wasn't going to be like last year. The first 8 games, they showed it. Last couple weeks, starting to feel a little bit like last year with, and this, ESPN report, obviously, I think only compounds that. There's added pressure. Klay Thompson's clearly frustrated. Like all of these things add pressure as they approach what could be their last real run.
And they don't have that guy in D.C. to blame it on or a punch to blame it on this year, JD. But I'm not going to get into that today. We gotta let you go, JD. John Dickinson. John, thank you so much for joining us. I will see you tonight at the game. We'll catch up.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll see you all tonight.
Anytime.
All righty. That was JD, John Dickinson, super reporter, insider for the Warriors, covering the Warriors for a very long time, extensively. Great stuff from JD, as always. Got to get to a break. When we get back, we will have our Truck Smart